Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to do your handover video on your AutoTrail Comanche. So it is an 8.5 metre tag axle motorhome based on the Fiat Ducato 3 litre turbo diesel. So on the left hand side under the bonnet here, we've got your washer fluid, power steering fluid and engine coolant, brake fluid attached to the servo just behind it, and your engine oil filling point just here. The engine oil dipstick is the red topped one just down here, and you've got your chassis plates along the front here, as well as your silver paint code here as well. Noisy motorbike. So because the engine battery sits under the floor in the cab just in front of the passenger seat, you have got under the bonnet a positive terminal just here and a negative terminal here at the front. So if you want to jump start the van, you can do so from those points just there. Basically just because you know, means that otherwise you'd have to take the whole floor up. Well, not the floor up, but the engine battery sits underneath this big cover down here. So, you know, if you were on the side of the road or whatever, you needed a jump start, you can do so nice and easy from there. Inside the passenger door, we've got the bonnet release handle just here, which means that you can't open the bonnet without having this door open, which is a good safety thing. The diesel filling point is just down here, also on this near side. Just next door to this, we've got your gas locker with the refillable gas flow point just there. So if you want to refill the gas bottle that's in here, you do so from that point just there at any petrol station that's got LPG written on the side. To open up the gas locker, you have got a little handle just inside the passenger door here. You can probably just about see it. This one here. So when you pull on that, it pulls this handle down and opens up the locker. So you might be able to see it working. There you go. So that's how you open up this gas locker once it's closed. And to close it back up, you basically just close it down. So the gas locker itself, relatively straightforward. All you need to know really is to turn the bottle on, we go anti-clockwise round to the left, and to turn it off, we go clockwise round to the right. For the moment, I'm going to leave it on because I've got a few bits on in the van already. If you find that when you turn the gas bottle on, you don't get any gas coming through to the inside, you have to press this green button down for a few seconds. It does tell you to do that up here. And that will basically allow the gas to come through here, through the crash sensor and into the vehicle. So we've got the awning out at the moment as well, just so I can show you that that's all in really good condition. I can't always get the awnings out on these videos because sometimes it's, you know, I'm outside on the site. But you can see there, I'm just drying out a little bit as well because it had a little bit of condensation in there. But yeah, so all in lovely condition. The legs are out working. They've all been lubricated as part of the habitation check. Yeah, very, very good condition on the awning. It is one of the biggest awnings you'll see. I think it's probably a 5 metre awning on there. And because it's the AutoTrail, they have a way of kind of fitting them into the body almost. So instead of sticking out, say 6 inches or so, it actually sticks out only about 3. So that's always a, you know, these vehicles are wide, and any, you know, every little helps really when it comes to the size of them. So, you know, it does make a difference. So you've just got storage in this locker just here. You've got your Frontier light just there. So the actual model of this is a Comanche, it does say up there, but you also will find Frontier written on it all over the place. Because it's a Comanche Frontier basically. Probably say it there, let's say Frontier. You find Frontier is written on a few of the models that AutoTrail do. I think it's maybe just like a derivative, if you like, of the model. But there you go. To get the electric step out, you've got a button just here. So you just press this bottom one once. Step comes in and out nice and freely like that. You've got the Fiamma D bar just here, so if I just use my other hand there as well, so that will come out either to the middle just here so you can use it as a handle to get in, or you can pull the handle down and lock it across if you want to. So however you want to have that, up to you. Leave it as a handle for the most part if you want to, or lock it across when the door's shut as a secondary lock. I will just point out before I carry on to these bits that you have actually got these Fiamma locks on quite a few of the doors around the vehicle as well, which is always a really nice thing to have, obviously, for extra security, especially on a van with a garage as big as this one. You've got the locks on both sides there. So as I said, this is a tag axle motorhome, 8.5 meters, and you know, these tags are always bigger, but lovely and smooth to drive. You can see you've got the Michelin tires on these, absolutely tons of tread on those. So being, you know, a set of 6 Michelin tires, somebody's looked after this vehicle, and you know, it shows with that kind of thing. So you've got these 2 vents just here to the right of the door. They both say Dometic on it. That's because they're the fridge vents. So if you ever needed to get to the back of the fridge for any reason, you pop these 2 off here and that'll give you good access. You shouldn't really ever need any access to it because, you know, we've done the habitation check on it, everything's working as it should. But if you ever do, that's where that is. You've then got this toilet cassette locker. So this is a Thetford toilet cassette. So to take the actual cassette out, you lift up on the orange tab and then the actual cassette will come out towards you. You can then, once you've got it all the way out, because you can just take it out now, this is the draining point. So this is where you actually drain the cassette out into your Elson point, or wherever you can drain it out to on the campsite or at home, wherever. So that's where you drain it from. And when you are actually draining it out, you should be holding down this little orange button at the back. Push it all the way back in like that, making sure that that little handle goes over the little latch there. This is also, just so that you know, one of the ones with the little handle that you can walk it along with. This basically just pulls out. There you go. Right, so that is the toilet cassette. So you've also got a freshwater flush on this one, which is what this blue pipe is here. Now what that means is that you don't have a separate flush fluid section here that you have to keep on top of. So your flush fluid on this particular vehicle is basically just fresh water from the tank. So it's always a good idea, if you've got a freshwater flush, to have a spray bottle of the pink fluid to spray around the bowl of the toilet. Because more so than anything else, it's a lubricator. That pink fluid really just keeps everything lubricated, as well as smells nice, but that's the main reason you would use it. So, as I said, you've got your large garage at the back here. You've got a plug socket inside here, and that is about it, really. You have got a light just here, which is out of its little cover. There you go. So yeah, not much to show you really, just a garage. Okay, so on the back of the van, you have got the 2-bike rack. It is quite a way up because you can't put it any lower. You know, you need these brackets here to go through on a flat surface, and that is why you can see these brackets inside here. So if this rear section wasn't so bulbous, you could have put it a lot lower down, but unfortunately that is the only sort of place it can go. Right, so on the off side, there's more to show you than the near side, really. So this is just another access point to the garage. We've then got the Truma boiler vent just here. So if you did have the boiler on, you'd be able to feel hot air pumping out through the bottom of it. The actual boiler itself sits under the bed in the back, which I will show you through in a minute, but that's where that is, and that's the vent for it there. This down here, the blue, is your freshwater drain off point. So if you wanted to drain out the fresh tank, you just turn that little knob there and that will then start draining it all out. Next is your freshwater filling point. So the fresh water goes in here. The tank, I mean, I don't know exactly, they're all slightly different, but it will probably be around 100 litres. So relatively big tanks on these. So that's your freshwater filling point. You've then got your external hot and cold water point just here. So I will show you, I have got them both out inside, but you've got an external freshwater and an external gas point as well, which I'm not sure if I've missed that out. Hold on a second, because I know you have got one. External gas. Is it behind this cupboard? Yes. Right, so you've got on this near side again now, sorry about that, it's a bit of a random way to do it. So you've got the external gas point here. So the idea of having this external gas point here is that you've got the awning wound out. So this is assuming that you're on a campsite or whatever. You've got the awning wound out, you've got your awning lights switched on so you can see out onto the floor with the awning out, and you've got your barbecue point. That's what this external gas point is for, really. Some of them are actually called barbecue points. But so this is the point for that. So if you've got your gas switched on in the cupboard over there, and you put your gas fitting in here, which I have got in the van for you as well, put that on, you'll then have gas coming out from there when you put it in the open position. So that'll then allow you to have a barbecue out here and your awning out. So that's the idea behind that. That's why they put those there. Well, that's why they should put those there. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, you've got your external water point here as well, which is hot and cold. More storage in this outside cupboard here as well. You have got access to these two water pipes, which are probably for the sink or for the tap in the sink. But otherwise, that is just storage. Right, down low in this sort of pull-up locker here, we've got loads of external wet storage out here, and a few other bits that are a bit more important over here on the right. So you've got your hookup point just here in this locker, and you can see I've got it plugged in at the moment. So if we were in an actual camping situation, I'll probably have this up like this, and because you've got this little cutout here, you can still close this locker completely up and lock it with the hookup plugged in. So that's why they do these outside here on these bigger ones. You then got your wastewater drain off point from there. Waste tank's obviously empty. So that's your waste drain and your pair of leisure batteries. So the leisure batteries are in really good condition, working really nicely. But there you go, that's where they're stored. So you've then got in the cab, now the spec in this cab is pretty much as good as it gets, really. The centre head unit here, I believe, was fitted by Sexton's, which is a place in Portsmouth that we actually know the owners of. So they've done a really nice job of that. I haven't got the key on me right now, but if you put the ignition on, lovely big bright big screen there. The reversing camera is also wired up to that, so when you put this into reverse, it will bring up your reversing camera on this screen. So it's all nicely wired up together. Obviously, it's all kind of all singing, all dancing with all of your kind of Bluetooth and everything you can think of, really. But there you go, that's what that is just there. You've then got your air conditioning switch from that one just there, and your heater controls either side of it. You can lock and unlock the cab from inside. Hazard warning lights. You've got the six-speed manual gearbox in this one, where reverse is lift up and over to the top left-hand side. You've got cruise control, which is from this little stalk down here. So you've got on and off, and you can set the speed adjustment from there. Then got the lights on and off switch from this one just here with your indicators, and your washers and wipers on the right. You've also got the electric adjusting mirrors, so you can set which mirror you want to move, and then move this around like a little joystick, basically, to move the mirror where you want it to be moved to, and your electric windows. Now, because this is a high spec AutoTrail, you have also got the standard fitted entertainment system, which would have been fitted from new. Now I will show you a bit more into this when we get into the vehicle, because there is a switch in a certain cupboard that you need to know about, but that is something that they were fitting these on all of these new AutoTrails back in the day. So yeah, I'll explain that to you when we get inside. Okay, so I'm just going to 31,000 by the way, the mileage on this one, 31,900. So just going to jump into the habitation side of the van now. So first things first, when we're talking about this entertainment system, in pretty much all AutoTrails around this sort of age, you've got this cupboard over here on the right hand side towards the front. So this is nearly always the power supply unit, and all of the electronics for the vehicle sits in here. All right, so you've got this little switch just here to the right hand side, before I go through any of this, that says entertainment system. We switch that on and that then powers up. Okay, so you can then go through and change, you know, the source or whatever. You know, you go through there, do whatever you like really. But that is how you turn that entertainment system on. So you will have to get it to work, there will be some bits and pieces up here that you can sort of plug into. If you do want to use that one there, you know, you will have to sort of connect up any various boxes and things like that to it. But there you go. So actually, if we just have a quick look, turn this TV booster on, see if it gives us any signal. It might not, because right, hold on, let me just see if I can change the source on here, see if we can get anything. Probably should have done this before the video, shouldn't I? But right, so then you can change through there. All right, okay. Well, we can do this at a later date, see if you can sort of work all that sort of stuff out. But you have got a AV input over here, so you could have like a DVD player or something plugged into the side. But there you go. You can turn this whole system off by using that there as well. That does the light, and then you've got the switch, obviously, as I said, over here for the actual unit. So you got your original AutoTrail build number here. So if you ever needed any parts or anything like that, you can speak to AutoTrail. Obviously, you can get in touch with us if you get any issues, but AutoTrail are generally quite good at getting bits and pieces for you. So having the build number there will probably help them out quite a lot. So you've got this, which is your power supply unit, or your PSU. It's a Sargent EC500. Now, Sargent units, much like having the cupboards over here with all the electronics in them, they also pretty much always use Sargent units. The bigger the van tends to be the bigger the Sargent unit, so EC500, you can get all sorts of EC numbers. So for all I know, this is one of the bigger ones that they make. So on the left hand side here, you've got this huge list. I'll just turn that light off. Huge list of things telling you what things do, basically. So you've got your 3 mains trip switches at the top there. It tells you 230 volt sockets, fridge, all that sort of stuff, telling you what they do, basically. So and you've also got your fuses down here, so telling you what each fuse does. So the 3 trip switches that it's talking about are these ones over here on the right hand side that all say Eaton on them, and that is basically telling you, so if for example I was hooked up on the mains and I couldn't get the fridge to work on the mains, I might come over here and have a look on this little thing here, and it will say fridge MCB number 3. MCB number 3, that's on. So that isn't the issue. Okay, so that's kind of the idea of having this whole chart here. You can go through here and just quickly have a look. You might find that that's down, flick it back up, it should work. All right, so that's the sort of idea behind that. You've then got your fuses next door to that as well, so that's all of your 12 volt fuses. So these are more likely to you know, go wrong in the future. Seeing you've got a couple of remotes down here, probably for the entertainment system, I should think. So yeah, this is more likely the sort of place you'd be looking. You know, if for example like your lights wouldn't work or something like that, have a little look in here, find the one that says lights, so lighting circuit 1 and 2, fuse 10, 11, and there you go, there's fuse 10 and 11. So that's always really nice to have, rather than searching around the vehicle trying to find the control panel or the power supply unit or the fuses that are for individual things. They're all here, all labeled, and very, very easy to sort out. The rest of this is, you don't have to touch any of it, okay? So you've got these 3 lights over here: charger, space heater, and water heater. So that is isolators for the mains power going to each one of these 3 things. So the charger, you don't really want to turn that off, because why would you want to turn the charger off? All the time that you're hooked up, the charger should be switched on, so leave that one alone. And these 2 here, the space heater and water heater, all that these do is allow power to come up to the actual controls for the boiler. So again, you do not need to turn any 3 of these off. As soon as you plug the hookup cable in, these 3 will come on. That's fine. So that is your power supply unit, nice and easy. The TV aerial booster is this one over here that says Vision Plus. So to get any signal coming through to any of the aerial sockets that you've got in the van, you will need to have that switched on. And the actual TV aerial itself is this thing up here. So it's a tilt and turn aerial. So you loosen this off and then push this up and sort of move it around wherever you might need to get the right signal, depending on where you are. Okay, so I just thought I'd run you through that, because that's kind of like the initial place for everything that's electrical. Right, so as soon as you come in the habitation door, above your head you've got the main control panel area. So on the left hand side is the actual control panel, also Sargent, and links directly up to that power supply unit that I just showed you. So what you've got is the main home screen, which will come up when you turn the power switch on. It then tells you the internal temperature, or other way around, I think that's probably internal temperature, and the external temperature. It tells you the hookup is plugged in, which is what that little sort of electrical symbol is, the time, and the details of the control panel. You've then got this switch next door to it, which is your water pump switch. So once you turn the water pump switch on, you will then be able to draw water through to the taps, hot and cold. In order to get the tap and the boiler full up of water and the system up to pressure, sometimes it's necessary to do that, what I've just done there, on all the taps around the vehicle. So that's including the shower, the toilet, everything really. If you find that the pump just runs and runs and runs, doesn't turn itself off, it normally just means that you've either not got enough water in the tank, or that you've got some air in the system. And the only way to get rid of air in the system is to do what I've just shown you there. Just basically draw some water through until it starts coming through nice and clear. Okay, so now that I've pressed that up button just the once, it's come up with a little screen here telling me what's going on. So we've got system levels, batteries, and water tanks. So you've got the vehicle battery, which is sat at around 12.5 volts. That's absolutely perfect. You've got the leisure battery, which is sat at 13.5 volts, because that's the one we've set the charger to. The fresh tank, which is at 25% full, and the waste tank, which is empty. If I carry on flicking through, that just brings us back to the home screen. You can set your time, the amount of power that's being drawn from the battery, and then back to that same screen. Okay, so that is basically how you check the levels of all of your battery voltages and the fresh and waste water tank. You've then got the lights on and off switch just here to the right of that one. External lights is this one here, so that's your awning lights from this bottom left switch just here. This one is another, I think that's the lower the lights here, yeah. So that's your under cupboard lights. Now this next one here is kind of relevant to you on this particular vehicle. So if you, for whatever reason, so right, at the moment, the battery that's selected is leisure, okay? And we know that because that's the one that's up here on 13.5 volts. So that is the one that's powering all of the lights, and that is the one the battery charger from the mains cable is charging. Okay, so if I press this button just here, what happens is the vehicle battery is now selected. So the vehicle battery is now powering all of these lights, but the vehicle battery is also the one that's allowing the charge from the charger. So we've essentially switched which battery is being charged up by the mains cable. Okay, so now you can see the vehicle battery going up to 13.5, and the leisure will slowly come down to 13. Okay, so for the most part we don't want to do that, because really we want the power to be being drawn from the leisure batteries, because that's what they're there for. If you start drawing power for the lights and all that sort of stuff from the engine battery, eventually after not very long the engine battery will go flat. So the only real reason that you would need to use that button is if you wanted to give the engine battery a good charge up instead of the leisure. So if your engine battery is flat, it means that you can press that button just there and switch the charger from the leisure to the engine and charge it up that way. But that's the only reason you would ever need to use that, really. You've then got a tank heater switch just there. So if you're in the deepest, darkest winter and you need an actual tank heater to be on to stop it freezing, you can use that button just there. Okay, so that's the control panel. We're on leisure at the moment. As I said, you can see that because that's the one that's higher up at the moment. So that's where I want to leave it. I want all of the power to be being drawn from the leisure. Okay, I might as well stay in this area for the minute. So these are your boiler controls here. So you've got this little switch here which does your light over the top of the cabinets there. Okay, so the boiler controls, so you've got a combi boiler, Truma combi. So combi boilers in motorhomes aren't in the same sense as a combi boiler you might have at home. This will not give you instant hot water, and it will not, you know, it just doesn't work in the same way. The way that these work is it will give you blown air heating through any of these circular vents just here, and it will give you a certain amount of hot water coming through to the taps. It's 10 litres inside the actual tank itself. So that's how it works. It's only called a combi because it does hot water and heating, you know, at the same time, sort of thing. So on the left hand side you've got combi E. Okay, so combi E, all this whole section here does is select what energy the boiler is to use. So at the moment we're set on gas only. If I wanted to, because I've got the hookup plugged in, I could put this up to the top and that would be on electric only. All right, so 1 or 2 is basically 4 amps or 8 amps. So at the moment, really, I don't want it to be on electric only. I'd rather have it on gas for now, but you could also go down to the bottom, which is gas and electric. Okay, so for the most part, you know, you're not always going to have a hookup plugged into the van. But really, you know, you should always have some gas in the cupboard. So for the most part, you're going to be leaving this on gas. So now that I've selected what energy I want the boiler to use, I can go to this right hand one here and tell the boiler what to actually do. So if I want hot water only, I go up 1 or up 2, and that'll either be for 40 or 60 degrees for hot water. All right, so I'll basically just leave that to go now. And after a little while, the boiler will have given me 10 litres of hot water at whatever temperature I've set it to. And I will also point out that the little amber light inside inside there that is telling you that the water is being heated up. So if I go back down to the middle, that will turn the boiler off. Down once is heating only, so no hot water, just heating. So after about 5 minutes or so, the boiler will start pumping out hot air through to these little vents. If I go all the way down to the bottom, we get the amber light come back on. He says, there you go. And that now is heating and hot water. So as I said, the amber light only comes on when the hot water is on. So at the moment, I'm going to leave that alone because really it's quite cold in here and I want to show you the hot water coming out. Okay, so that's how you use the boiler. That's all up there. Tons of storage up here above the fridge. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is you've got the microwave up there. I don't really need to run you through that. It's just a microwave, but it will only work when your mains cable is plugged in. So you've got the range cooker up here, which, because it's an English built vehicle, tend to have these rings on here. So this is an electric hot ring, okay? So if you want to use the electric, you can turn this dial here. You can go from 1 all the way through to 6, and that will basically just start heating up that ring there. Otherwise, if you don't have the electric plugged in, you've got an ignition just here and your burners on the here. So in and press the igniter. Easy as that. So it's the same on the grill. So the grill is this one just here, I believe. I'll turn that around properly. There you go. So the grill lights up nicely from that switch just there. And the oven is the next one along from that. So, nice and easy. The only thing is with the oven is that because they work with a thermocouple, in fact all of this does, but where you've got the gas marks on here, it won't go up and down until it gets to a certain temperature. So if you're ever wondering why it doesn't go up and down, the flame's not changing anything at the moment, it's because it needs to get to a certain temperature first. But there you go. Okay, so that's the cooker. I don't really tend to run through these very much because, you know, they're just like any household cooker really. Nothing technical about it whatsoever. Right, so the fridge is probably the most important part that I'm going to run you through, because, you know, you're very unlikely to have used one of these ones before if you haven't had one of these particular vehicles. So this is a Dometic 3-way fridge. It's also an AES fridge, so that means automatic energy selecting. And I mean, you can probably work out what that means by me saying it, but it means that you've got this A function on here. Okay, now A obviously stands for automatic, and what it will do is it will automatically select which one of these 3 energies it thinks is the most efficient. So straight away it's chosen 240 volt because we've got the mains cable plugged in, and really that's the most efficient way of cooling the fridge down. Okay, so that's done that automatically. If I didn't have the mains cable plugged in, it would automatically select gas and then start cooling it down that way. And if we had the engine running, it would automatically select 12 volt. Okay, so if I switch it off for a minute, just so I can show you how it fully works. So when we first turn the fridge on, what will happen is it will all the lights will come on and show you that they're all working, and then it will select which one it wants to select. Okay, so if you watch that happen. So it selected A because that was the last one we were on, and now it's selected the mains power. If I don't want it to be on A, I just select one of the other 2 manually. Okay, but that's it. That's really as easy as it gets. When I select this 12 volt one just here, it gives us this code telling us that it's not going to work because the engine isn't running. Okay, so I have to either select gas or mains. I've selected gas, it's lit straight up just then, I heard it light up, and that's it, we just leave that alone. Same with the mains really, select that one if you want to. The mains light is a little bit dim, but it does work, just so you know. But there you go. So the idea behind these fridges is that you either have to get the fridge cold first on the mains or the gas, and then select 12 volt for when you're driving. Okay, so that's kind of just how you have to use these fridges. The reason that you can only use the 12 volt when you're driving as well, by the way, is that the idea behind it, you've got what's called a split charger. So the engine itself obviously produces power from the alternator and charges up the engine battery as you drive. But because you've got a split charger, it also charges up the leisure battery as you drive as well. So that all the time that you're driving, the leisure battery and the engine battery are both getting a really good charge up. What you also get as part of that split charging system is a cable that runs back to the fridge so that you can keep it cold via the engine. Okay, so that is how that works, and that is the fridge. Okay, so you can probably just about hear the boiler whirring away, and that, I know obviously you can't feel this, but it is pumping out nice hot air through to this vent just here, and all of the other vents around the van as well. So really importantly, with the boiler, you've got the boiler drain off point, which is this little yellow tab here. So to get that to drain out, you lift the tab upright, and that will drain all the water out from inside the boiler. So the only time you'd ever need to do that is if it's going to get seriously cold outside, like towards like -degrees or 0, and it stops any of these pipes from freezing. So you lift it upright, drain the water out of it, and that's it. If you're actually going to be in here using the van, then obviously you don't have to drain the water out because it won't get cold enough in here to actually freeze. But if you're going to leave the van in storage, or it's going to be left on a driveway just to freeze up, really important to drain the boiler out. Okay, so in the back just here, we've got the shower, separate shower cubicle here, and the other side we've got the toilet area. This door will come all the way over and close so that you can separate the front to the back, and you've also got this just here which will come across, meaning that you can always have this bathroom, shower and toilet completely separated from either side. So the toilet cassette is the only bit that I tend to run through on these because the rest of it tends to be pretty straightforward. But basically, you've got this blue button at the back just here. Press on that, and the flush fluid will pump around. To drain it out into the cassette, push this to the right, and then pull it back. And that's it. So that's telling you that the fan's running, and you just switch it off like that, and that's it. There's your toilet, nice and easy. Right, so showing you. So these are the bits I was talking about. So this is your external gas point just here for the barbecue, and this is your external water point, hot and cold. So main things to just point out before you drive off is to make sure that all of your skylights are down. So make sure that all of these are wound completely down. Make sure that all of your windows are locked over on the actual secondary lock here. Making sure that all of your cupboards are completely down. Making sure that all of your things in the cupboards aren't just going to come flying out of, when you're driving around the corners. But that's about it, really. AutoTrails have always been very, very well built, and they've been in this game for a very, very long time. So this is a fantastic vehicle, a lovely opportunity to own a van. Obviously, these are huge, huge vehicles. Lovely, great big island bed in the back there. But in all honesty, it's the kind of perfect size, in my opinion, a great, great size, because it means that you've got all of this living space. You've got huge, huge sofas in the front just here. Massive, great big bed area, separate toilet, separate shower. But in all honesty, it's only 8.5 meters. It's not like a massive 11-meter American touring bus. So, lovely vehicle. And that's about it, really. That's about all I need to show you, I think. If you think there's anything I've missed out or anything you'd like going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.